Okay, so onto this one. This is the vocal album, political album. I think this is kind of, I mean, conceptually in a way, it's the follow-up to You Are What You Is. I mean, I did say at the time that You Are What You Is, that was the style he settled on. That kind of became the vocal style of his albums after that, and none of those albums are as good as that. Neither is this, but I think this is stronger than some of these other albums, although it doesn't have much of the instrumental stuff because that's on the other albums. But certainly in terms of songs, there's some good stuff on here. Strangely, I didn't really like it when I first heard it. It's possible it was to do with expectation because I heard the other two 88 albums before that point. But it has great sound. You know, technology's seriously moved on since You Are What You Is, and this is all live. No overdubs on any of it, apparently. But obviously that meant splicing from different shows. And I suppose the point is that most bands would overdub because you just pay a bit of money, so you don't have to do the work of splicing. Zappa would rather do the work and save the money, which may be one of the reasons why he managed to do all of that and actually afford to do it. So yeah, the original version was just 9 songs on vinyl, but then he re-released it with 17 songs, and with the last song from the original vinyl version moved to the end. And it makes it a great album. It is an excellent album. So yeah, so the first song is Elvis Has Just Left the Building, which is quite, you know, an amusing track. Not an amazing track to start with, really. It starts with something that's not really standing out, but what is a strange new feel because of the changing vocals. Big stylistic change by having Mike Kennelly singing the first song on there. Written during the European leg when the band were a bit down, so it's possibly why Frank gave it to Mike Kennelly to play, because he was under the new boy and he was the more positive one among them. Track 2 is Planet of the Baritone Women. It's a song about something to do with man bags and female bosses or something. Track 3 is Any Kind of Pain. It's a nice melody actually. Stylistically, it's kind of, imagine like You Are What You Is, but much smoother, much easier going. And it's okay. Very sort of R&B kind of feel to it. Very 70s actually. But it's really, the highlight of that song really is the guitar solo. It's a lovely guitar solo, brilliant. And introduces the new, cleaner sound. And track 4 starts the Republican retrospective medley, which is Dickie's Such an Asshole. This is the 88 band version of that song. This isn't the first release of that song, because there was actually you can't do that on stage anymore sampler before that started, so before this. Although it's on You Can't Do That on Stage Anymore 3, which is after this. And obviously it's about Nixon and Watergate, etc. And about the sort of secret police that was formed to sort of do things like that, and about how it was trying to be covered up, and really about the fact that although Richard Nixon almost certainly was an asshole, getting rid of it made no difference at all. It's not, it's not the performing monkey at the front making the decisions, really, is it? So that, as we now know, getting rid of him didn't get rid of the secret police at all. But yeah, I think the 88 band version is the best version, simply because it's just a great band. Track 5 is When the Lie's So Big, which is about Pat Robertson. A lot of the targets are not so much Republicans in their entirety, but more the Christian fundamentalist Republicans, which is obviously a different thing. The social conservatives, and the sort of massive amount of hypocrisy and manipulation going on there that obviously Frank's not going to like very much. Then we got Rhymin Man. Now this one is actually about the Democrat Reverend Jesse Jackson, again, see, a religious guy, basically listing all the bad things he's done. There's more rhyming. He keeps doing these bad things, and he's exactly the same as the Republican guys. That's the thing. It's kind of it's a Johnny Cash impression, so he actually wrote it specifically for Mike Kennelly to do his Johnny Cash impression on. More on that later. It's also got loads of quotes of different songs in there as well, which I won't list. The next song is Promiscuous. This is a proper rap song. Frank said, play a rap song. And it sounds like 80s rap. Is what it is. Scott Thune has pointed out, actually, that he wrote that bass riff, because Frank just said, play a rap riff on the bass. Well, there isn't a rap riff. So he wrote that. Although he admits it doesn't matter if he wrote it, because it's pretty awful. It's an 80s rap song. Yeah. Track 8, though, is the Untouchables theme. At one point used as the solo for Stairway to Heaven before he arranged the horns for the real guitar solo. And obviously this is part of that same thing about... And it's got the political bit in the middle as well. Then you've got Why Don't You Like Me? Now this is actually Tell Me You Love Me, but with Michael Jackson, a silly Michael Jackson impression of Why Don't You Like Me? He's white, Jim. It's what I keep saying. That's really funny. Track 10 is Bacon Fat, which is an old R&B hit, and great, brilliant. Track 11 is Stolen Moments. That's a sort of a jazz classic, standard. Great stuff for the horn players to play. I'm sure it's their kind of thing. Really good, actually. Now track 12 though is Murder by Numbers, and they got Sting to come on stage with them, and he was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to play, but just sing anything, And I have to say, They did a great job. Basically, they're still playing Stolen Moments, and Sting improvises his song over it. But it's also the monologue intro as well. And he does this parody of a evangelist thing, having a go at Jimmy Swaggart actually, who had a go at this song and said it's the work of Satan and all this stuff. So he's having a go at him, and he says, no, Satan didn't write it, I wrote it. A little bit controversial because he co-wrote it, obviously, with the other guy who, what's his name, Summers, great guitarist. Alright, track 13 is Jezebel Boy, apparently rehearsed to death and then played once on the whole tour. We'll see why they didn't play it. I mean, track 14 though is Outside Now. Now I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that's better than the album version of Outside Now. That's the definitive Outside Now there. Brilliant, wonderful. Doesn't get any better than that. Hot Plate Heaven at the Green Hotel, best version again of Hot Plate Heaven. I used to think this was new to this album. Of course it wasn't. It's actually on the Human Belonging Music as well. Then you got What Kind of Girl. The only thing to say about that really is Mike Kinley's he's playing the role of the prostitute in that song and having to sing very high to sound like a woman. Not really singing like a woman, but sing a sort of parody. Hello, I'm singing like this. Apparently it was a real strain on his voice to have to do that. The album ends on Jesus Thinks You're a Jerk, which features 20 edits from 11 different locations. No overdubs, remember. Apparently at one point during the tour there was a rumour that Zappa had got a death threat, which isn't nice. And it may have been because of all this anti-Republican, anti-evangelical stuff going on. It wouldn't surprise me. There's a whole load of references in there to different songs. We've got The Old Rugged Cross, Twilight Zone, more about that in a minute. Entry of the Gladiators, Rock of Ages, Light of the Calvary Overture, 2 Civil War songs, Louie Louie, and also a bit of One Man One Vote as well. That's pretty cool. There's a middle section monologue, which is basically listing all these dodgy characters who are involved in politics with a Twilight Zone type riff. And what's wonderful about this track is the way the Twilight Zone riff continues into the music and it builds afterwards, and a great moment. Brilliant track. Best thing on the album, except for maybe Outside Now, but obviously that's not a new song. So yeah, Broadway The Hardway, ladies and gentlemen. See you next time.